Namaste, Yoga Steps is here for you today with a second video in the hip series. Last week or the last video we did the warming up sequence a little bit with a soft gorgeous ball, or maybe you did it with a blanket. And today we're going into the bigger muscles of the quads, the hamstrings, the side, inside and outside of the legs that are also really important of the function of your hips. If you have the gorgeous ball, take a gorgeous ball, take an inflatable Pilates ball. If you don't have it for today, instead of using a blanket, you could use a rolled up yoga mat as well, looking for the word in English. You need one block. You also could use maybe one or two books. And you need two balls to do the hamstrings. So let's hop onto your yoga mat and let's see. Let's start with the big one. Let's start with the with the quad muscles. So to start with your quad muscles, go and grab your yoga block. Come onto your hands and knees. Just make sure that you can see me. And we start with the right leg. And you position the yoga block in front of your right leg. Then you bring everything on top of the yoga block. And I have my left leg out in a half frog pose. So I'm not sinking down into my left side of the body. So your knee is free and your hips are free. So this big quad muscle rests on the block. And you first just sink, melt. Allow your body to let go into the block. Allow your quad muscles to relax. You can stay here, or if you like, you can start bending your leg. And with your exhale, you lower your leg down. And before you bend it again, you want to let it go completely. You bend. And you exhale. Sink it down slowly. Let it go completely. Bend it again. And let it go completely. Now you bend your leg again and you rotate your leg slowly out and in. So you're crossing over the fibers, going from side to side. Keep on breathing. Don't sink down with your belly. Keep your belly lifted. Protect your lower back. And then come back. Lower your leg down. Exhale. Bring the left leg back in. And just for a moment, come down on the floor. And just see if you feel a difference. Do you notice a difference between the right leg and the left leg? Does your right leg rest differently on the floor? Your right hip? How does your right lower back feels? And then come back. And we do the other side. You want to position the block under your left knee, or in front of your left knee, sorry, under your body, in front of your left knee. And then you come all the way down. Bring the right leg into this half frog pose. Have the elbows under the shoulders. You can interlace your hands or have them palms facing down. First find a position so you can rest on the block. And this already can feel a lot, can be a lot if you're not used to working with pressure on your quad muscles. So if you're running a lot, if you're something who's cycling a lot. So sometimes just holding this position for 1 or 2 minutes is really nice to ease tension in your quad muscles. If you like, and it is not too much for you, you bend your leg and you exhale, you straighten the leg to let it go. And remember, you want to let it go, relax it completely before you bend your leg again. Straighten the leg, let it go, relax. And then bend it again. Notice that your belly is not dripping down to the floor or dipping down to the floor. So keep your belly lifted Always before you bend, you relax completely. Come down. And then you're going to bring up the leg again. And you do this outward rotation and inward rotation. Cross fibering one side to the other side. But don't lift your leg off the block when you're doing this. Keep your weight on the block. And come back all the way down. Sink into the block. Straighten your right leg. And come all the way off. Take the block to the side and just for a moment rest on your belly. And enjoy the softness of your quad muscles. Now come all the way up. And you either could use the blanket or why do I always say blanket? You can use the rolled up yoga mat for the next sequence. So by laying on your rolled up yoga mat, and this is my hip joint on the front, and the yoga mat is just beneath my hip joint. I personally don't like to use a foam roller because it's for me too much force on my body. That's a reason why a yoga mat is an option here to use, and you kind of walk yourself a little bit up on the yoga mat, walking from point to point, so there's not so much rolling. If you have one of those softer balls I'm going to use today, you do the same. And I'm just being on my left side, so let's do this on the left side first. And you need a little bit space to go up. So come a little bit more down and just place the ball on your side. See, if you really have to be on the ball is a little bit more wobbly than it is with a yoga mat. Again, exhale, sink into the ball. You're really sinking down. And now we're going down the IT band side of the leg. So you bring your right foot up and you just roll up a little bit. And you just bring the weight back. I saw on the yoga mat, like I was showing you before, it's not a rolling because the yoga mat would be unrolled. You want to more or less kind of shift your body from position or reposition your body from position to position. Important is you exhale and you sink. And you bring the ball a little bit more up. And you really want to sink into. Push your elbow into the floor, have your left elbow under your left shoulder. And then again, come up a little bit higher. And it gets a little bit more challenging to hold yourself up. So even if it's too much for you to bring your foot on top or the leg on top of the other leg, keep your foot here to support yourself a little bit, but it brings a little bit more weight into the area. So I'm just shifting a tiny little bit. So I'm being above the knee now. Breathing in and out. And you may feel this one tension feels a little bit more tight than the other. You may want to stay a little bit longer on this spot. For today, we're getting off. And just come into a seat and relax the shoulders for a moment. And then we do it to the other side. I already feel that my left side feels much more awake. Feels even a little closer to the floor. And I just did this with a soft ball. So it doesn't need a lot. You don't need a lot of force to make your IT band a little happier. Remember, you want to be more down towards the yoga mat so you have space to go up and just sink. So instead of using force, use the weight of your body to sink into the ball. If you have this high, maybe even stay a little longer, and if it's okay for your shoulders to stay in this position, have your right elbow under your right shoulder. And then you take your foot and you just get up a little bit, and you want to place the other leg on top. I have a straight line with my body here, so I have really as much weight as I can put into the position where the ball is. And I'm just sinking. And it doesn't have to be always painful to be helpful. Always put this back into your mind. It doesn't have to be painful to be helpful. Come all the way down. And when I did I'm always taking a class of my own with one of my favorite teachers, and she had this sentence this week: I am a student of my body. I am a student of my body. And I really liked it. So it really sticks with me till then. Exhale, sink. Really sink into the yoga mat, the ball. And then come a little bit up. So I'm being now close to the knee, but you don't want to come onto the knee. And I also have a micro bend in my knee, and I don't have my knees completely straight. Keep on pushing down with your right arm here. Support maybe yourself with your left hand in front of you. But sink into the ball. And you may feel a difference between right and left. And then just get off. And just sit for a moment with your legs straight in front of you. And you maybe already feel that there's a little bit more energy, a little bit more softness happening in the way you sit, because these big muscles, they feel a little bit less restricted. And they also, when they are less restricted, if they are more relaxed, this helps your hips to relax. Now we get in another really important muscle into the hamstrings. To do this, I want you to feel your sit bones. So take your hands under your butt, and you can feel these two dominant bones poking into your fingertips. Right in front of the sit bones, you want to position the balls now. So you take one ball in front of your right sit bone and the other ball in front of the other sit bone. You're widening your legs a little bit, and you maybe want to lean back into your hands, because it can be a lot if you sit upright and have all the weight down into the hamstrings. But I leave this up to you. If you have a hard time to have your legs straight and sit with a tall spine, you also could use it in a chair. So you can sit in a chair and you just do the same work with the balls by in a seated position in a chair. Again, the exhalation is a letting go and a melting. And you just take the balls. When you look from your hip crease to your knee, we just go 1/3 down the way. So just go 1/3 down. You can feel it come a little bit more into the fleshy part. And for today, we're just going along, we're going the center line down. So you could also go more the outside and more the inside down, doing a whole sequence just on your hamstrings. But for today, I choose to do just the center line. Like, you know, everything in our body is connected. So helping the center line is also helping a little bit the outer line, the outer line of the hamstrings and the inner line. I have a micro bend in my knee, so I'm not pushing my legs down, but I'm allowing the weight of my legs to sink down. Inhale and exhale to sink. Now you want to look from your hip crease towards your knee, and you want to go halfway. So you bring the ball halfway down, right in the center, halfway down, checking that you're right in the center. Depends on your flexibility. You maybe just want to lean here forward using your hands to bring a little bit more weight into your legs. If this is too much and you feel that your body is rounding, you could use blocks. I only have just one block here. So you could use blocks. If you have 2 blocks, you use 2 blocks. Or if you have just one, you use 1 block. Breathe in and breathe out. And then you go to the other side. Or you use 2 or 3 books. Or if it's for you okay, you use your arms. So whatever works for you, so you can bring a little bit of additional weight. Maybe you don't need additional weight at all. And then check from the ball towards the knee. You just want to go halfway. From the position of the ball towards the knee, just go halfway, stay in the center, and you feel the further you go down, the less intense it is. And I really like the way with the block right now, because even, you know, using one block, one side at a time, and bring the weight of my upper body into one side to relax, and then bring it to the other side to relax. And then take it off, and then cover the back of your knee with your hand, and just go a little bit further down, so until you're being a little bit, you're closer to your little finger. The reason I'm covering the back of my knee is I don't want to go with the balls into the back of my knee. So if you're holding the back of your knees, you're really feeling that the back of your knees are free. And then again, you could use your block here. You lean into relaxing, breathing in, breathing out, and sinking into the ball. Go to the other side. When I do my own practice, I always like to set myself a timer. I'm bad in feeling the time, so I'm either using my breath or sometimes I use a timer. And you could easily do a minute on each position here, so you could pause the video, you could time yourself if you do it for yourself, but also just doing 1 or 2 breaths on each position, you feel the difference. Now you bring again the back of your hand into your knee, and you bring the ball right into the center of your calf muscle, a little bit towards the outside. So a little bit towards the outside, from the center, push it a little bit out to the other leg, calf, and then push the calf a little bit to the outside. So I'm a little bit more on the outside here. Ooh, and just relax into the ball. Breathing in and out. I personally don't need a lot of movement here, or a lot of weight. So see how it feels for you. You could use your hands and push a little bit more down. You also could, work a little bit your feet by pointing and flexing, but this is something I don't need to do today, but this is the options you have, using the weight of your hands, lifting the heel, pointing and flexing a little bit. And then let it go. And just bring the legs in front of you. And notice how peaceful you sit, how peaceful you even sit, your hips bend in this position. You maybe want to try a little bit of a forward fold, a very relaxed one. You even notice that it feels so much easier to bend from your hips now into a forward fold. Okay, let's go to the inside of the legs. To do the inside of the legs, I'm going to use the soft ball, or you also could use your rolled up yoga mat to support my head. And you need a block and the ball. And I'm lying on my side, supporting my head. You also could use your arm to support your head. And I straighten my bottom leg. I take the ball and I taking the ball first onto my body, and then I'm positioning the leg and the ball on the block. That's the way I like to do it. So I'm knowing that I'm in the right spot and it's easier for me. So feel your hip crease. Stay off your hip crease. So even keep your hand here, kind of 2 fingers, and then you go the center line of your inner leg a little bit more to the front, but you stay off your hip crease for 2 fingers, and then I just take the ball together with my leg on top of the block. And this is all I do. I sink. I even lean a little bit forward, and I'm just sinking into the ball. Breathing in and out. Just sinking and melting. If your inner legs are really nice and really soft, you could work here a little bit by straightening and bending the knee. But you never want to lift off the ball. You really want to sink into the ball. So this is an option what you can use. But for me it's just nice in this area here to hold and to sink. Now we go a little bit further down. So from the ball, knee, you just go down around about 1/3. Remember, inner seam, and I'm just going a little bit towards the front. I'm holding the ball, I'm placing it on the block, and I'm just releasing my leg into the ball. Just sinking down. Again, you have the option here of straightening and bending. Another option I didn't mention on the other position is you also could go a little bit up and down. Again, cross fibering. Or you just stay and sink and breathe. Softening your glute muscles, letting go. When I come up now, you can see there's from the ball to the knee, there's the perfect space now for the block. For the lowest part, I personally don't like to use the balls. I'm just holding the block here, and I'm bringing this part on top of my block, and I'm just sinking down. And to get a little bit into the muscles here, what I like to do is I'm lifting and internally rotate my leg, and I'm lowering it down. You can play with the ball here. You can use the ball. Try it out for yourself. For me, it's a little bit too intense, so just check it out for yourself. I always try it, and sometimes I use it, but in general, I just like to do this movement instead. But you also just could use the ball, place the ball, and just stay in this position. Relax. Turn all the way on your back and just straighten your legs for a moment. Notice how your left side feels now compared to your right side. And then you bring your legs back in and you just turn over to the other side. I'm turning around, so I'm not facing my back towards you. And you come on to support your head. Have your block in front of you, have your bottom leg straight. And then again, you take your leg, checking your hip crease, 2 fingers away from your hip crease, inner seam of your leg a little bit to the front. And this is the position you want to hold the ball, and you place it on top of the block. You don't want to have the block too far away from your body, so you don't have to reach so far forward. And I'm just sinking here into. And the funny thing about the body is sometimes doing one side, the second side already feels so much easier. So just checking in here how it feels, sinking with each exhalation, letting go. And then I decide if you want to go a little bit up and down. I don't like this up and down a lot in this position. Maybe this was the reason I didn't mention it in the other, on the other side. If I do a movement, I like to straight and bend my leg here. But again, just here, being there and melting, letting go into the ball. And we come up. You look from the ball towards the inner knee, 1/3 of the way. And you also could measure, because we want to later use the block here, so it's just the position of the block. Wait, I think I use it this way. And then you find yourself back onto the block. Remember, you don't be right in the center line, you be a little bit more to the front. And you just sink into the ball. My bottom leg is straight. My head feels nice and supported, so I really can sink into the ball. Here I like to do sometimes this cross fibering, going up and down. I even keep my big toe on the floor, and I go a little bit up and down. Not a big movement. If you lift the whole leg up, it gets a little bit more intense. Or you also can straighten and bend your leg. But you also just stay here and relax. Do nothing. Use your breath. You're doing already a lot. And then for the last spot, remember I didn't use the block here, so I was using the block, taking the ball off, and I'm just, sorry, I didn't use it this way, and I just placing my leg on the block, so the medium setting, and I'm not on the inner knee, my inner knee is off the block, and to get a little bit more activation here, after you sink for 1 or 2 breaths, you can internally rotate by lifting the lower leg and down, and lifting and down. Or you hang out here, relax, sink your weight into the support. And then you get off for a moment, turn on your back. Hopefully your right and left side feels equal now. And then bend your legs. Choose your version to slowly get up, or maybe stay a little longer in Shavasana if you have the time. And yeah, let me know how this felt for you. Did you like it? Do you have any questions? Is there an area you say, oh, it was really painful for me? Is there an alternative to do? So my legs feel pretty active now, and we have big muscles on the legs, big muscles that are attached to the pelvis. And you can imagine if there is tension more on one side than the other side, more on the back than on the front, this creates an imbalance, and also the other way around, when it's more on the side, creates an imbalance as well in your hips. And you have an imbalance in your hips, this can create tension in your hips. Yes, I hope you liked it. This was part 2 of my 3-part series. Next week we go into the glute muscles and roll the glute muscles. And stay tuned for the 3rd video. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Leave me a comment how it worked out for you. Subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell button so you get an information each time I'm uploading a video. Have a wonderful day. Namaste, Yogi.